We are Mariano, Simone,
Noemi
and Romina.
students from It is Taranto, a technical upper secondary school in Taranto. We have been involved in community project with the vocational secondary school from Alenquer in Portugal.
Besides learning a bit of Portuguese and Italian respectively, we wanted to learn something about our past history through our beautiful countryside, the apparently common but mysterious rural landscape that surrounds our urban areas, both in Alenquer and in Taranto.
We discover a story, read a lot of stories we want to tell you about through the picture you are going to see.
The countryside keeps the traces of our past and the seeds of future development opportunities. It talks to us with the voices of the preceding generations, with the shapes that human beings have given to it through cultivation and different types of buildings, from monasteries to manor houses, from churches to farms.
They all draw the lines of civilized beauty, telling story of hardship, but at the same time of harmonious relation with nature, just like stories of human strife and economical development.
Farms, quinta in Portuguese and masseria in Italian, are an integral part of the rural landscape, although less known than religious buildings, especially monasteries.
Farms are the development of pre-existing human settlements like the Ville Rustiche of Roman times, one of which San Pietro in Mutata is in Taranto, by the coast of Mar Piccolo. It was first a Roman villa, then a medieval monastery and a manor house from 1392, now a 5-star luxurious hotel.
The change of the rural landscape occurred following more or less the same steps in southern Europe, marking owing the economical development, the late Middle Ages and the start of modern age.
Taranto was scattered with farms, witness of a political and economical system based on large agriculture estates. They were centers of production and organization of rural work, made up of the manor house, the rooms for servants, tables, sheds, storeroom, pasture, tools and crops.
Farms were surrounded by walls, while the proprietor lived with his family on the upper floor. The servants' activities took place on the ground floor, in the rooms and space around the central courtyard. On the ground floor there may have been a chapel too, used by the entire community for religious services, and by the noble family to be buried there.
Most farms in the area of Taranto are at present in condition of neglect and total abandonment.
With the school and during the project, we have visited a number of farms both in the area of Taranto and in the area of Alenquer and Lisbon.
We were astonished at the presence of so many similarities, both in vegetation and in building.
We realized that we belong to one single historical development that started with the Roman Empire, continued with the Christianity and brought us up to the European Union of our present times.
The most ancient rural settlement we, Portuguese and Italian students, visited was Masseria Capocanale.
It was the 22nd of April 2009. We reached the proximity by bus, then walked through pine trees smelling the odor of the bushes of rosemary and thyme. The farm dates to the 16th century and situated by a crevice in the rock. On whose sides there are caves which were used for centuries by sheep flocks and shepherds for shelter. This part is called Viazzo in local dialect. The farm itself is located nearby. It has a large courtyard limited by walls. Outside there is a circular farmyard and opposite the manor house, which was built later.
Now Masseria Capocanale is a bed and breakfast accommodation, giving its guests a beautiful view as it immersed in large wood of mainly pine trees, commonly called the Lung of Taranto.
After visiting Masseria Capocanale, we moved to Masseria La Giranda. This one looks like a village, surrounded by high walls, with a portal through which to get in. It has an upper floor for the noble family. Servants lived in the rooms round the courtyard. There is also a chapel where the peasants could attend services without abandoning the place of work. At present, it is in a condition of total neglect and desolation. It is inhabited by poor families, among whom immigrants from Eastern Europe.
Another example of farm turned into a bed and breakfast is Pizzariello. Situated in the suburb of Tazzano, 5 kilometers from Taranto, it is immersed in plantation of hundreds of ancient olive trees. It was built in the first half of the 17th century as a fortified country residence of a local noble family, at the center of large agriculture estates, and gave work and shelter to peasants and shepherds, coming from the surroundings and from other regions likewise. It was built very close to the church and annexed monastery of Basilian monks that came from Greece to Italy in 13th century.
Another example of farm is Calapricello. In this case, the ancient farm, dating back to the early 16th century, is still used for the original purpose, that is agriculture and the breeding of livestock. What makes Calapricello an example of modern farming is the use of solar energy to make the farm totally independent from this viewpoint, and the creation of a trademark and a number of shops in the province to sell the products, meat and cheeses mainly, directed to the public to keep prices low for clients and profits higher for the farm.
Through these examples, we can say that the farms of the past belong entirely to our present. They are part of our cultural heritage and need to be preserved. They also offer opportunities of economical growth, sustainable development, and job creation, in particular for immigrants who do not refuse the hard work of farming.
We were very curious to know about the countryside and farms in Portugal and were astonished at their beauty. Around Alenquer there are a lot of farms, most of them turned into hotels and bed and breakfast. The first farm we visited was Quinta de Abrigada, few kilometers from Alenquer. It is incredibly beautiful, immersed in green, rich with art. The owners are descendants of Pablo Álvaro Cabral, the discoverer of Brazil.
The huge farm dates back to the 16th century. It's a real piece of history because the Napoleonic troops occupied it, leaving traces, a burnt ceiling and floor, of their presence.
What makes it different from the farms around Taranto is its wealth and splendor, which show the different level of wealth between Portugal and southern Italy in the 15th and in the 16th century. Portugal was an independent country, had colonies and global trade, while southern Italy was under the dominion of the Spanish, and moreover, the Mediterranean did not give opportunities to expand commercial relationships as much as before the discovery of America.
Now Quinta di Abrigata is famous as a resort for doing outdoor sport activities, but also for the production of quality wine that is sold in Portugal and abroad.
We belong to a common past. We are building up our common future.
Turn it inside out so I can see the part of you that's drifting over me. And when I wake, you're never there. And when I sleep, you're everywhere. You're everywhere. Just tell me how I got this far. Just tell me why you're here and who you are. 'Cause every time I look, you're never there. And every time I sleep, you're always there. 'Cause you're everywhere to me. And when I close my eyes, it's you I see. You're everything I know that makes me believe I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I recognize the way you make me feel. It's hard to think that you might not be real. I sense it now, the water's getting deep. I try to watch the pain away from me, away from me. 'Cause you're everywhere to me. And when I close my eyes, it's you I see. You're everything I know that makes me believe I'm not alone. I'm not alone. When I touch your hand, it's that I understand the beauty that's within. It's now that we begin. You always light my way. I hope there never comes a day. No matter where I go, I always feel you so. 'Cause you're everywhere to me. And when I close my eyes, it's you I see. You're everything I know that makes me believe I'm not alone. 'Cause you're everywhere to me. When I catch my breath, it's you I breathe. You're everything I know that makes me believe I'm not alone. You're in everyone I see. So tell me, do you see me?